And our top focus is coming in from Maharashtra, where the cabinet meeting has just concluded on the COVID surge. Let's take a look. All right, amid a huge spike in COVID cases in the state, the Maharashtra cabinet discussed the COVID situation. During the cabinet meeting, it emerged that Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Raigad and Palghar were the main areas of concern, the districts where the COVID cases are increasing. And essentially the key takeaway is that the health minister has said that masks will not be mandatory, but the government has urged people to wear them. The mask mandate has not made a comeback as yet, but the government has repeatedly been urging people to wear masks as cases go up in the state of Maharashtra. So this crucial cabinet meeting just concluded in the state of Maharashtra. And the big takeaway is that for now, the mask mandate will not make a comeback, which means that masks are not mandatory, but the government has urged people to wear them in public places, and the reopening of schools, as earlier said by the Education Minister of Maharashtra, they will reopen as per plan. For more on this, I'm joined by Shweta on the broadcast. Shweta, could you help us understand what really happened in that crucial cabinet meeting as far as the COVID situation in the state of Maharashtra is concerned?
Well, definitely, as far as cabinet meeting in Maharashtra is concerned, it was a conclusive one. But what we are finding out is there is no stringent measures being implemented when we talk about COVID now. It has been seen that COVID is taking a huge rise in Maharashtra. It is in last 24 hours, COVID numbers have gone up high. In fact, if we see the tally from last 1 week, just in Mumbai, if we talk, on May 30th, it was somewhere around 360 cases of COVID. But today, after 1 week, we are seeing that it has jumped to near about 960 cases. So the COVID numbers are definitely rising. But here, it was very much expected that it was seen, in fact, that some concrete decision would be taken as far as COVID growing numbers are concerned. But when we speak to the politicians, they are like, yes, the suggestions have been given up, but there is no stringent measures which have been taken, or there is no such important restrictions which are put in place to curb down the numbers. But yes, the urging by the State Minister of Health Minister Rajesh Tope is that whenever you go out in large gatherings, one should understand their responsibility and wear the mask. But here, very importantly, Archana, there is no such rule in Maharashtra. It was taken long back. Mask is by choice now. It is all depending on the individual, very voluntarily. If the person has to don mask or not, it is up to him or her. There is no such restriction put up in place. But now, if we see the COVID numbers, it is most likely that in next cabinet meeting, such decision can be taken place that in large gatherings that will be a compulsory thing to wear mask. But when we talk about few hospitals like KEM hospital, they have come with their own mandate stating that the patient or anyone related to the patient enters the hospital, wearing the mask is 100% compulsory for them. Wherein, on the other hand, you spoke about the schools reopening on 15th of June. Well, that's correct, and we have seen that after 2 years of COVID setback, schools were open, but due to summer, they were on summer break. But here again, likely it has been said that this can be the onset of fourth wave. So it is all going hand in hand, Archana. Now it is Maharashtra government to decide whether what protocol should be put up in place and how. Till when we can see some concrete decision being taken as far as mask is concerned or COVID numbers increasing is concerned. But ultimately, just to gist up, during the cabinet meeting, the testing, tracing and tracking formula has again come up. Now BMC will be gearing up for the tracking, tracing and testing of the patients, and so as the Maharashtra health authorities.
Right. Shweta, there's another important concern, and earlier in the day we heard the Education Minister of Maharashtra say that the schools will reopen as per the scheduled plan, and that it is likely that new guidelines could be issued soon. What can you tell us on that front? Because there is a sense of concern among parents if they are sending their children to school. What are the kind of arrangements that the government is planning on making before the children go to school?
Well, definitely, Archana. As far as schools are concerned, now remember, after the setback of COVID, schools started reopening on a very slow note, where there was a system of 50% attendance. The rest 50% of the students were used to attend the online classes. Apart from this was also the system that the student will sit on one bench, leaving the another bench, and then this was few of the system wearing the mask was compulsory inside the school premises and making use of hand sanitizers. These were few of the restrictions which were there in place, but soon after that we saw a few months back, Archana, where all these restrictions, except keeping the mask on the face, apart from this, everything was taken off, as 100% physical attendance was given by the school authorities. But now what we understand, when Varsha Gaikwad says that schools will be reopening, certainly there will be some protocols again put up in place, as what parents concerned are also right at their place. Now here Varsha Gaikwad stating that the school will reopen at the scheduled timing. The school authorities should come up with some kind of COVID restrictions, which they have in fact some months back they implemented.
All right, thank you, Shweta, for those updates. So we'll have to wait and watch what kind of arrangements are made when the children return to school after they reopen. Now, Mumbai Commissioner of Police has also weighed in on another controversy. We'll come to that in a bit. But the big update that we are getting in from Maharashtra is that masks are not mandatory yet. But the government has basically urged people to wear masks, and this, as we speak, the COVID numbers are going up, and Mumbai suburban, Pune, Thane, Raigad and Palghar are some of the districts where a concerning pattern has emerged as far as the rise in COVID cases is concerned. Now, another big update that we are getting is that the government, Maharashtra government, has said that as the cases are rising in Mumbai rapidly, rapid testing will start in crowded places like slums, railway stations, markets, etc. And the government is constantly appealing to the people to wear masks and COVID protocols. And the government has reiterated that until there is no pressure on COVID logistics and infrastructure, the government will not make masks mandatory. So this is the big update, and the government reiterating its original position that if people do not want restrictions, they should abide and follow and wear masks. So this is the big update that we are getting as far as COVID is concerned. Abhishek joins us for more. Abhishek, you were very closely tracking that meeting of the Maharashtra cabinet. The government is very clear that for now, the mask mandate is not going to make a comeback. But at the same time, the government is saying that if people do not want restrictions, they have to follow the COVID appropriate behavior.
Yes, definitely. Today's cabinet meeting, the entire meeting was focused on the rising COVID cases in Maharashtra, and especially the 6 districts which were identified by the central government. When central government wrote a letter to the state government identifying 6 districts where positivity rate has crossed 5% mark, and at the same time, these 2 of the important districts falls in Mumbai itself. Mumbai city and Mumbai suburban district is the part of Mumbai and the MMR region. When we talk about Thane, Palghar, Raigad and Pune, these are the 6 prominent districts and are identified as hotspot. And if you particularly talk about Mumbai, Mumbai contains around more than 80% of the active COVID cases. Active COVID cases in Maharashtra are around 7,000, out of which 5,000 are only in Mumbai. You can imagine that, and definitely we were listening to Aslam Sheikh, who is the Guardian Minister of Mumbai. he clearly said that definitely cases are rising and these are rising exponentially. There is a 300% rise cases in past 15 days, and he clearly said that efforts are being taken. Rapid testing is something he said will be initiated at crowded places, especially in slum areas, railway station, markets, and because of this rapid testing, the infectious patient will be identified and isolated. But at the same time, he also highlighted a point that these are asymptomatic cases at the moment, and there is not a big worry. But he clearly said that he himself said, I am attending the second cabinet meet and I am appealing for the third time that guys, please wear your mask, follow COVID protocol, and then we will not have any option but to bring in restriction. And he clearly pointed out, until and unless there is a logistical and infrastructural pressure on the COVID infrastructure and logistic across Mumbai, especially the jumbo care centers and hospitals started flooding with the patient, then we will not be left with any other option but to bring back mask mandate. And this is what he was telling. And at the same time, right now, hospitalization rate is comparatively low as compared to the surge. So they are in a wait and watch position at the moment. But he clearly warns to the people of Mumbai, especially, please wear masks and follow COVID protocol. And also, Mirror Now continuously, from past 1 week, we are appealing that, people should not drop their mask. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek, for these updates. Shifting focus to another big story of the day, the Mumbai Police Commissioner has said that no one has been detained so far in the threat note to actor Salman Khan, but they're taking up the matter very seriously. Now, Bollywood superstar Salman Khan's security has been heightened by the Maharashtra government a day after he and his father received a threat note. The note was received during Salman's father Salim Khan's morning walk. There was a threat issued warning the actor that he might meet the same fate as Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala.
अभी तक कोई डिटेन करने की नौबत अभी तक नहीं आई है, लेकिन मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं कि इसके बारे में हमें पता चला है और हम भी उतनी ही गंभीरता से उसको देख रहे हैं। एक दिन के अंदर फर्जी लेटर सिद्ध कर पाना तो बहुत मुश्किल काम है, लेकिन जो भी उसमें लिखा है, जो भी मजकूर है, जो भी तरीका है, उसको हम पूरी गंभीरता से उसकी शिनाख्त कर रहे हैं।
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Sandeep on the broadcast. Sandeep, thank you for joining us. What kind of arrangements have been made? And could you tell us more about the probe? We believe that crime branch officials also visited Salman Khan's residence earlier in the day.
So yes, as far as Salman Khan case is concerned, yesterday early in the morning around 7:30 and 8 a.m. when Salim Khan was on his walk, he received a threatening letter on the bench that he every day, sits on, the chair that is placed at the Paramount out here at Carter's Road, where Galaxy apartment is located. So 100 meters away, a threat letter was kept, and after receiving the letter, a complaint was filed at Bandra police station and an FIR was registered by Bandra police. Now we are out here at the Galaxy apartment. Since morning there have been, visits of several police officers from, Joint CP Law and Order, Vishwas Nagre Patil, to the local DCP Manjunath Singhe visited here, and then DCP Crime Nishandar, Sangram Singh Nishandar also visited at this place, and so far 4 people's statement has been recorded out here. One of them is Shrikant and Rajkumar Gupta. These are the bodyguards, and apart from that, Salim Khan's and Salman Khan's statement has been recorded in this case. Now, speaking about the matter, what information that we have got from Mumbai police is that, the CCTV wherein the letter was kept, those CCTVs are not functional. That's what we have been informed by Mumbai police officials, and hence Mumbai police is finding it difficult to find the person who kept that letter at that bench. Now, in this case, we just heard Mumbai police Commissioner Sanjay Pandey. He mentioned that it is very difficult to prove that it is a fake letter, although this matter is very serious and nothing, nothing can be taken for granted, and in fact, we cannot take risk with Salman Khan's security. Hence, his security has been beefed up. Remember, Home Minister of Maharashtra, Dilip Walse Patil, is taking minute-to-minute report in regards of Salman Khan's security. Remember how Sidhu Moosewala was killed, and in the letter also, it was specifically mentioned that Salim Khan and Salman Khan will be facing the same thing what Sidhu Moosewala faced. So remember how brutal murder it was of Sidhu Moosewala. Hence, Maharashtra police and Maharashtra government does not want to take any kind of risk with this case. So definitely security has been beefed up and the investigation is underway.
All right, Sandeep, thank you for joining us on the broadcast with the latest. And let's give the latest from West Bengal, where Calcutta students staged a protest demanding online examinations. The visuals on your screens are from the capital, where Calcutta University students protested in Kolkata demanding online examinations. Moving on, Enforcement Directorate conducted searches at multiple locations in Delhi, allegedly connected to Delhi Health Minister Satyendra Jain. Searches come a week after Jain was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case. As per the Enforcement Directorate, premises are linked to Satyendra Jain and Hawala operators. Remember, the ED had arrested the Delhi Minister last week in a disproportionate assets case. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Bhavtosh on the broadcast. Bhavtosh, thank you for joining us. What details can you share with us as far as these searches by the Enforcement Directorate are concerned?
Good evening, Archana. The raid started early in the morning at around 6:45. It went on till late in the evening. ED officials have said that raids were conducted in connection with the money laundering case that they have been probing for past 5 years. Searches were carried out at least 7 locations, 6 in Delhi and 1 in Gurugram. The entire case revolves around the shell companies that were allegedly set up by Satyendra Jain, and these shell companies were used to purchase land in and around Delhi, and also to write off the loans that were taken by Satyendra Jain's company. Now, the initial investigation was carried out by the Income Tax Department, which filed a prosecution complaint. Now, taking cognizance of that complaint, the CBI filed an FIR in 2017, and ED then carried out its own money laundering probe. CBI also filed a charge sheet in 2018. ED attached assets worth 4.81 crore rupees of immovable by Satyendra Jain. ED also attachment order said that Jain's family, when they were questioned, said that they were not aware of the fact that Jain had transferred land as soon as the FIR was filed by the CBI. Now, ED arrested Jain, and he was in fact called in for questioning last week. And they had said that Jain could not explain the source of money. A war of words broke out between AAP and BJP, with BJP saying that why Jain is not being sacked from Council of Ministers, and AAP said that this is a political witch hunt that has been carried out by the central agencies. Now, on its part, ED has said that they have done a due diligence, and probably for that, they have said that raids and searches are being carried out.
All right, thank you, Bhavtosh, for those updates. And on that note, it's time for a short break. When we return, we'll tell you why UK's Prime Minister is going to face a confidence vote. Stay tuned, we'll be back. Welcome back. In a big relief to home buyers in Delhi NCR, one of the biggest real estate developers, Wave Megacity's plea to be declared insolvent has been rejected by the Company Law Tribunal. To understand this more, I'm joined by Harish, who's joining us on the broadcast. Harish, thank you for joining us. This seems to be a big relief for home buyers in Delhi NCR. Wave Megacity is a huge developer. Could you share more details about this development?
Yes, in fact, now it means that the duped home buyers can proceed against it, and it has, the company has not got the immunity of being declared insolvent. So, as you rightly said, the real estate giant Wave Megacity suffered a massive blow today with the National Company Law Tribunal, principal bench in Delhi, dismissing its petition filed a year ago to declare it insolvent. They had cited the ground that it is unable to clear the dues of the Noida Authority and banks and also the home buyers, which total comes to the tune of around rupees 8,000 crore in total. So with the tribunal refusing to declare the company insolvent, it does not get the immunity against the recovery proceedings which can be initiated against it, which means that it is liable to pay up the amount of rupees 8,000 crore it owed to the banks, Noida Authority and home buyers in total. So now the duped home buyers can move the consumer courts across consumer courts to recover their money. If Wave had been declared insolvent under Section 14 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, they would have won immunity against any recovery proceedings. So that is the significance of this order. And one more highlight of the judgment is that the tribunal also imposed a fine of rupees 1 crore on the company Wave Megacity, the highest permitted under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code for the fraudulent application to circumvent Noida Authority, the banks and home buyers after siphoning off the money themselves. And another order is that the central government has been directed to investigate the affairs of the company. Remember, it was in March last year that Wave Megacity had filed the unusual petition to initiate insolvency proceedings against it. That is to get itself declared insolvent. Why I say unusual is because in normal course, it is the financial creditors or operational creditors who move against the company to get it declared insolvent, so that the insolvency proceedings can be initiated. So the biggest development today is that the real estate giant Wave Megacity has suffered a massive blow today with the dismissing its petition filed a year ago to declare it insolvent. So this can open a floodgates of litigation against him. Like recovery proceedings can be initiated by the duped home buyers, the Noida Authority, and also these banks from which it had taken a loan. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Harish, for those updates. All right, so a big update that we are getting for you is that in a big relief to home buyers in Delhi NCR, which is one of the biggest real estate developers, Wave Megacity's plea to be declared insolvent has been rejected by the company law tribunal. Now, what this essentially translates to is that this order has now paved the way for Noida Authority, banks, and the most important, home buyers to initiate proceedings against the group and claim dues. And remember, the amount is around 8,000 crore rupees. It's a huge amount. And now this order has paved the way, which comes as a relief for home buyers in this case. All right, remember last year in March, and as Harish was telling us that Wave Megacity had filed for bankruptcy, and since then the fate of hundreds of home buyers who had invested in these projects has been hanging in the balance because they were debt-ridden, they had invested their life savings, but now it comes as a relief. The proceedings to refund to the banks, to defrauded home buyers and Noida Authority has been initiated after the company law tribunal rejected Wave Megacity's plea to be declared insolvent. All right, let's get to the big political update. Now, Boris Johnson will have to face a no-confidence vote. This is the latest as far as the situation in the UK is concerned. And we will also tell you about the other big headlines from around the world. Take a look at our special segment, The Global Mirror. Britain's governing Conservatives will hold a no-confidence vote against their own leader and Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and that could oust him as Britain's leader. A party official revealed that he received at least 54 letters from Tory lawmakers demanding a vote on Johnson's leadership. If Johnson loses the vote among the 359 Conservative lawmakers, he will be replaced as Conservative leader and Prime Minister. If he wins, he cannot face another challenge for a year.
The threshold of 15% of the parliamentary party seeking a vote of confidence in the Prime Minister has been passed. Therefore, a vote of confidence will take place within the rules of the 1922 committee. That vote will take place this evening in the House of Commons between 6 and 8 o'clock, and we will announce the result shortly thereafter. There will be arrangements for proxy votes for any colleagues who can't be present in person in Westminster, and we'll notify colleagues of those arrangements in the near future.
A massive face-off has erupted between Kremlin and European Union. Russia has denounced closures of airspace, and this after Serbia's neighbours, Bulgaria, North Macedonia and other countries refused to allow Sergei Lavrov's plane to fly over to reach Serbia. Now, Moscow has accused the West of closing off lines of communication by forcing the cancellation of Lavrov's trip. South Korean president has said that his government would pursue fundamental and practical security capabilities to counter North Korea's growing nuclear weapons and missile threat. Now, the new president, who took office in May, has vowed to strengthen South's defense in conjunction with its alliance with the US.
북한의 핵과 미사일 위협은 고도화되고 있습니다. 어제도 여러 종류의 탄도미사일을 발사했습니다. 북한의 핵 미사일은 한반도는 물론 동북아와 세계의 평화를 위협하는 수준에 이르고 있습니다. 우리 정부는 북한의 어떠한 도발에도 단호하고 엄정하게 대처할 것입니다. 북한의 핵과 미사일 위협을 억제하면서 보다 근본적이고 실질적인 안보 능력을 갖춰 나갈 것입니다.
After initial reports suggest that at least 50 people lost their lives in the Nigerian church attack, the government has confirmed that the death toll stands at 21. Spokesperson for the governor's office said that the dynamite exploded inside the Catholic church before gunmen opened fire through the windows during a service. No clarity yet on who was behind the attack.
Revitalising our trade and investment relationship is a priority for my government, and it's why we plan to work with Indonesia to realise the potential of the Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. I did so because the work of the G20 is critical at this time of global economic uncertainty, and it will be by working with Indonesia that we most effectively tackle the many challenges we face in navigating the post-COVID global economic recovery. I will work closely with President Widodo to help deliver a successful summit.
The impact of climate change does have an effect on people's mental health, and the link between the two should be recognized. This is the point that the WHO, the World Health Organization, is trying to make, urging on the need to include mental health in climate action. WHO has said that communities prone to climate-related risks and younger people are disproportionately affected. Let's listen in to what WHO has to say.
Have you ever heard about terms such as solastalgia, ecological grief, or eco-anxiety?
These are being used to describe the negative impact of climate change on our well-being and mental health.
At the World Health Organization, we're ringing alarm bells about the growing impact of climate change on our mental health.
Imagine a family losing their home in a flood, a drought, or a wildfire that destroys the crops, resulting in hunger, poverty, and loss of livelihood.
Or a teenager living on an island, faced with the horror that soon what she calls home might be submerged due to rising sea levels.
What we know is climate change does impact our mental health.
And for some people, the impacts can be overwhelming, leading to feelings like fear, anxiety, depression, and helplessness.
And it can also increase the risk of developing a mental health condition.
And vulnerable groups like Indigenous people, communities living in areas prone to climate-related disasters, and young people are disproportionately affected.
Did you know that there are nearly 1 billion people living worldwide with a mental health condition today? And yet governments spend, on average, just 2% of their health budgets on mental health.
But there's good news. Many of the things that we need to do to cut carbon emissions, such as walking or cycling or spending time in nature, are also good for our mental as well as our physical health.
Let's bring mental health to our response to climate crisis.
Let's work with the real experts, the communities and people affected.
Let's promote climate-based action
For the health of us and the
our
planet.
planet and a climate-just world.
Right, breaking inputs coming in as far as the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case is concerned. The Madras High Court has indefinitely postponed Rajiv Gandhi convict's plea. Nalini's plea seeking release has been postponed. This is the latest that we are getting for you as far as the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case is concerned. I'm joined by Dharani on the broadcast. Dharani, thank you for joining us. What is the latest that you can share with us, and what are the grounds on which Nalini's plea has been indefinitely postponed by the court?
Well, actually, Madras High Court's Chief Justice and then Justice named N. Mala, they both have, reserved orders on a petition filed by Nalini, who is a life convict in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. And she is, she has asked the Madras High Court to direct the Tamil Nadu government to release her without waiting for approval from the governor. Remember, in 2018, the Union Cabinet they passed a resolution recommending the release of all 7 convicts in relation to the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, and that recommendation was sent to then Governor Panwarlal Purohit for approval. But he sat on that recommendation for over 2.5 years, and then he forwarded it to President for approval. So right now, that particular cabinet recommendation is with President Ramnath Kovind for approval. In this backdrop, Nalini had filed a petition in front of the Madras High Court asking the Honorable Court to direct the Tamil Nadu government to release her without waiting for approval from the governor or the president. So this petition, the hearing on this petition, it has been going on for a few months now, and today the judges have reserved orders in this particular petition. Remember, it's also important to note that 2-3 weeks earlier, one of the other convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, A.G. Perarivalan, was released permanently by the Supreme Court, citing deliberate delay on the governor's side as far as the cabinet recommendation is concerned. So in that particular angle, that particular judgment releasing A.G. Perarivalan was also said to be, it is said that it will pave a way for the release of other 6 convicts also. So in this backdrop, the honorable judges, they have reserved the orders indefinitely, and when the day comes up, when the order will be pronounced, we'll get to know whether Nalini will have chances to come out or not.
All right, thank you, Dharani, for those updates. All right, the DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, has launched an investigation into the uncontrolled hard landing of a helicopter belonging to a private aviation company at Kedarnath helipad on May 31st. The Civil Aviation Authority has also issued an operational advisory to all operators for strict compliance of safety standards. And it's time for a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back. Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has assured a thorough probe into Karnataka water contamination, where 3 people died and 60 fell ill. A junior engineer has been suspended. As per preliminary probe, a pipeline broke because of heavy rains, allowing the water to get contaminated. The Chief Minister has asked for a report basis water samples from all wards.
ಕುಲಿಸಿದ ನೀರು ಕುಡಿದು ತೀರಿ ಹೋಗಿರುವಂಥ ವಿಚಾರ ಭಾಳ ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಿದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ KWSSB ಚೀಫ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಕಾರಣ ಮಳೆ ಬಂದು ಪೈಪ್ ಹೊಡೆದು ಸೇರಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವರು ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಯಥಾರ್ಥವಾಗಿ ಸೇರಿದೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಅದು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ತರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು DCಗೆ ರಾಯಚೂರಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಾರ್ಡಿನ ನೀರನ್ನು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲನ್ನು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರಿನ ಸುರಕ್ಷತೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಎರಡನೇ ವಿಚಾರ. ಮತ್ತು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಲೋಪದೋಷ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ DYSP ನೇತೃತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ತನಿಖೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ KWSSB ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಸಹಾಯ ತೊಗೊಂಡು, ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಸಹಾಯ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಂಕ್ವೈರಿನ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ತಪ್ಪಿಸದಿದ್ದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ತೆಗೆದುತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ತೀರ ಹೋದವ್ರಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ CM ರಿಲೀಫ್ ಫಂಡಿಂದ 5 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಪರಿಹಾರವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
Quite unfortunate over here that in Karnataka, even as 60 people fell sick, 3 people lost their lives and 3 more remain critical in hospital right now, that the government has suspended 1 junior engineer over this entire incident. Let's tell you that it's almost been a week now. This happened last Tuesday, almost 6 days ago. This incident took place where we saw contaminated water that was consumed by the residents of Raichur district. When we did speak with the district officials, they tell us that there was a leakage in one of the sanitary pipelines, possibly, which led to the mixing of that water with the drinking water pipeline, eventually rendering all these 67, 68 people sick. Now, what is even more unfortunate over here is that as we're seeing now that the Chief Minister of the state has woken up and he's decided to take things into his own hands now, and an action report has been demanded from the district officials. We have to wait and see what action is taken against the most senior officials also who were responsible at least for the supervision of this, if not directly for being involved on ground. Who were responsible for the supervision of this? Was it in fact the assistant executive engineers? Was it the executive engineers? All of this will have to be probed thoroughly. But again, this really seems like at the end of the day, like we've seen much like in many other cases as well, where a junior officer is made a scapegoat. Again, in this case, it does seem like that preliminary information suggests that just 1 junior engineer has been suspended as per the district officials. But will there be action taken against the senior officials? That is also something that remains to be seen.
Moving on, let's get the latest from the state of West Bengal, where the tussle between the Bengal governor and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has intensified. Now, the Bengal cabinet has given its nod to replace Governor Jagdeep Dhankar and appoint Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee as the Chancellor of all state-aided universities under different departments like Health, Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Minority Affairs Department instead. The cabinet also approved a proposal to remove the governor as a visitor at private universities. However, this will have to be further passed in the assembly. Remember, previously the cabinet had cleared that Mamata as Chief Minister will replace Governor Dhankar as the Chancellor of state universities. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Tamal on the broadcast. Tamal, this was on expected lines. You've seen how the two have taken pot shots at each other as far as the state of education is concerned in the state of West Bengal. And now this move has been formalized by the state of West Bengal.
Well, that's right. In fact, we have seen last week, the cabinet had approved the decision to replace Chief Minister as the Chancellor of all state-run universities in the state of West Bengal, essentially replace West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar. And that came as a follow-up to the long-drawn face-off between the state and the state governor. We have seen Governor Jagdeep Dhankar had been extremely critical about Mamata Banerjee government. Even today, he has lamented the kind of law and order situation existing in the state, squarely holding the government responsible. And every time he has made a comment of this kind, we have seen Trinamool Congress come out and in clear defense of Mamata Banerjee government, question Governor Jagdeep Dhankar's tone and, of course, the language of his criticism, suggesting they are all politically motivated. Today, the cabinet has once again approved that just not state universities, but also state-aided universities which come under separate departments, for example, animal husbandry, agriculture, health, or for that matter, minority affairs, those state-aided universities will too see the change effective, which means the Chief Minister would be the Chancellor instead of the state governor. The only catch is this as a proposal will have to be passed in the state assembly. By virtue, Trinamool Congress has got numbers to their favor, so passing a proposal and implementing it as a bill will not become a problem. The challenge lies in the fact that the constitutional protocol suggests that once you pass a bill, it has to be ratified or it has to receive the sanction of the state governor. So whether the state governor will give sanction to a bill passed in the state assembly where he is being removed as the chancellor of state and state-aided universities in the state of West Bengal, it's something we have to wait and see. So far, the governor has only reacted to the development last time, suggesting when the bill comes to him, he will go through it and only then will he react.
All right. Thank you, Tamal, for those updates. Moving on, DMK spokesperson and leader TKS Ilangovan has said that if Hindi language comes to the south, then it will bring casteism with it and make people backward. Ilangovan justified the remark by saying that Hindi language and the culture associated with it doesn't speak of equanimity. Ilangovan's comment come amid ongoing row over language imposition after Home Minister Amit Shah's statement in April, where he said that Hindi should be accepted as an alternative to English and not local languages.
What Manu Dharma says is the Brahmins for a specific purpose, the Kshatriyas should be the rulers, the Vaishyas should be traders, and Shudras should serve the other three classes. Here there were 4 major kingdoms and none of the kings were Kshatriyas. Because that practice of Manu Dharma is not here in the south. So if Hindi comes, the language, I didn't mean the people. If the language comes, it will bring the culture, its own culture along with it and make us Sudras. That was what I meant. When I have a language which is rich in culture, which speaks about equanimity, why should I follow a language which does not speak about equanimity? That was my question.
Also, you spoke about, how certain states have been developed. They are having regional languages.
I took
you
also
the
government records. I told, West Bengal is a developed state. Orissa is a developed state. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana are developed states. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab. All these states were developed states in terms of economy and production. But UP, MP, Bihar are underdeveloped states. The fact is known to everybody. The entire world knows, the entire country knows. So why should they? Because they were prevented from studying English.
After a shocking road rage incident in Delhi, and that grabbed the national headlines, where a speeding Scorpio could be seen hitting a biker and fleeing the spot, the Delhi police have now apprehended the driver. According to the police, the accused driver is the resident of Nebsarai, and a case under 307 attempt to murder has been registered against him. Remember, the video of the road rage incident took place in Arjangarh metro station in the national capital on Sunday, where a Scorpio driver and few bikers got into an ugly altercation, following which the Scorpio rammed into one of the bikers and fled the spot. The latest as far as the sports world is concerned, the Sports Authority of India has received a complaint from a cyclist of inappropriate behavior by a coach during a foreign exposure camp in Slovenia. Right, we'll try and get more details on this story, where the Sports Authority of India has received a complaint from a cyclist of inappropriate behavior by a coach during a foreign exposure camp in Slovenia. The latest is, yes, all right. So this incident allegedly happened in Slovenia. We'll try and get the latest on this. I'm joined by Karishma on the broadcast. Karishma, there are reports that a cyclist was harassed in Slovenia and the coach has been accused of inappropriate behavior. What details can you share with us on this?
Well, yes, a complaint has been received by the Sports Authority of India, and the player in question, the cyclist in question, is Mayuri, who has filed a complaint against the national team coach for sprint, Mr. R.K. Sharma. And what the Sports Authority of India is saying is the fact that once R.K. Sharma is back from Slovenia, there is going to be a hearing that is going to happen, because R.K. Sharma will also be given an opportunity to present his side. But now the Cycling Federation of India has also come out in support of Mayuri, that it says that it stands with the complainant, and they have also formed a committee to look into the charges that have been made by Mayuri. But what we learned from our sources within the Sports Authority of India is that this matter is going to be taken very, very seriously and dealt with on priority once R.K. Sharma is back from Slovenia, which is expected around the 13th or the 14th of June. So it is going to be a very, very important hearing once he's back, because that is going to decide what the future course of action is going to be against R.K. Sharma from Sports Authority of India and also the Cycling Federation of India.
All right. Thank you, Karishma, for these updates. Moving on, the Mumbai Commissioner of Police has said that no one has been detained so far in the threat note to actor Salman Khan, but they are taking up the matter seriously. Bollywood superstar Salman Khan's security has been heightened by the Maharashtra government a day after he and his father received a threat note. The note was received during Salman's father Salim Khan's morning walk. There was a threat issued and warning the actor that he will meet the same fate as Punjabi singer Moosewala.
अभी तक कोई डिटेन करने की नौबत अभी तक नहीं आई है, लेकिन मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं कि इसके बारे में हमें पता चला है और हम भी उतनी ही गंभीरता से उसको देख रहे हैं। एक दिन के अंदर फर्जी लेटर सिद्ध कर पाना तो बहुत मुश्किल काम है, लेकिन जो भी उसमें लिखा है, जो भी मजकूर है, जो भी तरीका है, उसको हम पूरी गंभीरता से उसकी शिनाख्त कर रहे हैं।
All right, let's get you other stories from across the country. Heavy rains lash parts of Andhra Pradesh while storm conditions are reported in some places. Downpour reported in Chittoor, Kurnool, Kadapa, Vishakhapatnam and Ongole. PM Modi released the new coins of denomination 1, 2, 5, 10 and 20 at Vigyan Bhavan today. He said, and I quote, "The new coins released today will commemorate the history of India and its struggle so far." PIL has filed for CBI investigation in singer KK's death. A matter regarding CBI probe in KK death was mentioned before the Chief Justice Division bench. The bench has allowed for the PIL to be filed, hearing likely next week. Delhi Airport is all set to induct 62 electric vehicles in 4 months in order to cut 1,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And Google celebrating the 171st birth anniversary of inventor Angelo Mariondo with an artistic doodle. He was considered as the godfather of espresso machines. He was credited for patenting the earliest known espresso machine in 1884. And with that, it's a wrap. Stay tuned to Mirror Now for more news and updates. Thank you for watching.